I remember very distinctly, actually I think literally making fun of my mom for keeping up so diligently with the O.J. Simpson trial back in, what was it, the 90s. Over the last many weeks, I have now spent hours upon hours upon hours listening to podcasts and evidence on the Adnan Syed case from the first season of Serial. So I want to officially take this moment to say, sorry, Mom, I get it now. So for those of you who are keeping up with the case, and just briefly for those who aren't, please do check out the first season of Serial. I haven't started on the second season. I can't speak to whether it was good or not. I listened through Serial, and then there were a lot of different kind of spin-off follow-up podcasts to Serial. I would say the most important two being Undisclosed, which is more of a legal look at it, and then Serial Dynasty, which then became Truth and Justice, which was much more of an investigation type of a podcast. But between the three of them, I have listened to a lot on this case. And what this was the 1999 murder of a high school student, Haley, and her ex-boyfriend, Adnan, was tried and convicted of this crime and is in prison today for it. The premise of the Serial podcast, and as things have been going more and more, is that the state's case there was not as good as it seemed. The defense of Adnan was not as competent as we would have liked, and there's just all sorts of like soap opera-y drama going on with this case, and which is probably one of the things that makes it so interesting and so popular. But also is the idea that, you know, Adnan's been in jail now almost half of his life, and the idea that that he may actually be innocent of this is intriguing to us, and I actually think that's a good thing. I think it's good that we are interested when justice is not served, that we don't just brush it aside, that that, oh well, Adnan's Muslim, so who cares, or something like that. That we actually do want to see justice done. I think that's a very, very good thing. And in this case, you know, it's brought to light in a series of very, very popular podcasts, which is fantastic for Adnan, because it gets the support behind him. But there's so many other cases that don't have those resources and just go without any relief. To be fair, and Adnan has not gotten any sort of relief yet. He is in the occasion of this video is we just finished up 5 days of a hearing for post-conviction relief, meaning essentially a new trial. That the claim in this procedure is ineffective counsel. So what they're saying is that Adnan's attorney at the time didn't do her job right, and therefore he should get a new trial with effective counsel. And I am, like I said earlier, I have finished Serial Season 1. I am most of the way now through Undisclosed and Serial Dynasty, or Truth and Justice, and getting close to finishing it all up. and being completely caught up on the case, at least from those perspectives. And my rule still applies. I am not going to sit here and pontificate on that Adnan is innocent or is guilty. I know a lot of facts on this case, but I certainly don't know everything. So what I would say is that based on what I know, I definitely lean toward the Adnan is innocent camp. If I were in a jury box and the evidence that I have had been presented to me, I definitely would not vote guilty. I'd like to return to an earlier theme here, and I think that the frustration that we're all having in cases like this can be solved by just returning to the biblical standard of evidence. And it's explained in an earlier video. The Bible requires 2 to 3 witnesses to convict of a crime. And a lot of us, me included, kind of translate that into modern language by saying 2 to 3 independent lines of evidence. So what I mean is not just fingerprints, not just one witness, not just even DNA, but a combination. And we see over and over again with these stories of people being discovered that they are innocent, that they have evidence that they are innocent. We go back over and over and over again, and the evidence comes down to one witness that perhaps wasn't lying, but may have been mistaken, or perhaps was lying. And I think the frustration that we're all feeling in this case is that what it comes down to, at least in the trial, was really 2 dependent lines of evidence. They were not independent of one another. And I'm referring to Jay and the cell phone records. When Jay is giving his timeline while holding the cell phone records in his hand, which was established in the trial, that fact, those 2 lines of evidence are no longer independent of one another. And so we're all dissatisfied with how this thing went. We're all frustrated at not knowing the answers, and the whole reason we don't know the answers is because we didn't hold to a standard of evidence in the first place that we should be holding to. It's got to be ridiculously scary that any one of us can be taken down by a single wrong identification, by a single witness that doesn't like you for some reason. Just one person misidentifying you can destroy your life. And that's the whole reason that this old standard that God's Word has always held to is in place, so that one mistake will not destroy you. Seems to me just a far superior way to do things. And so now, 16 years later, we're having a hearing that's not, by the way, it's not about the truth. It's about procedure. Was the proper procedure followed? And if the proper procedure was followed, then Adnan stays in prison. And if the proper procedure was not followed, then we're going to take another look as to whether he was innocent or not, but at the same standard that we did before. and that one witness can put him away. Now, I think obviously if there were a new trial, 100 different things would happen, and there would probably be a plea deal, and it would never go to trial. But if it did go to trial, he would very clearly have much better counsel. Today, there's been thousands of people, digging up evidence and theories and laying out timelines over the last year that his attorney would have access to. It's like, the world has done the legwork already, and it's just sitting there waiting to see if there will be a new trial, and that's fantastic for Adnan. All the people that we've put away at the testimony of one person, I wish they had those resources, but the fact remains that our prisons are filled with these people. And some of them are guilty and some of them are innocent, and we all know that. And I think that we as a country, we as a society can do better. And very simply, by just going back to an earlier standard, that a tried and true standard that shouldn't have gone away in the first place.